In this lecture, I will show you a quick introduction to scripting, or like we say, programming. Now, what I want you to understand is that programming is a huge, when I say huge, I mean huge field on its own. There's all different types of programming. I have a programming background myself, and I can assure you that there's many different careers. So we're not going to go into too many details, but at least I want you to understand how to start. And if you want to go into more details about programming, then you can go into and get this free course of mine called Fundamentals of Programming. It's on Udemy and it's free at the moment. If it's not, you can use the coupon code CELEBRATE. I will add it for you. All right, so having said so, let's get started. Go inside of Unity, and what I want to try to achieve is take this cube and rotate the cube on itself so that we never know how this will interact with the sphere. Whenever the sphere falls on the cube, we don't know how it will interact because the cube is rotating. Alright, so there are two ways to program two different languages in Unity. There's the JavaScript and the C#. Now, you may not have heard about any of these, and that's okay, but usually the JavaScript, it's also called JS, which is used mostly from the web. That's where it's coming from. And then you have the C# that used to be .NET, so like a Microsoft one, very strong programming language, but now it's very widespread. And the actual C# is the one that's the most used at the moment because it's the most solid program out of the JavaScript and C#. When I say program, I mean language, but I do say program because it's a different way to program as well. Alright, so back to Unity. Let me show you how to create a script. Well, inside of your assets, you can just right-click and then create C# script. And then you can give it a name. Let's say I call it rotating script. All right. Now, I like to add the word script inside of my script so that I know that it's a script. And it's easier to find whenever I look and search for a script here. So if I type script, I will look and find all my scripts here. All right. So, by the way, I went a little bit fast here because now I have the script. But when you create a script, there's more than just one script. You can create also a JavaScript. That's the script that's using JS. And then you can create a test script to make sure that what you're doing is solid. And you can create a shader. Now, we haven't talked too much about shader. And it's also a different way of programming. It's actually in C or C++. And it's a bit more advanced. And we're not going to touch that. And most of the time, you're never going to have to do this. 99% of the time, this is way more advanced. And actually, some people have a whole career based on creating shaders and materials. All right, so now that we have the script, you may be wondering, well, how do I edit the script? Well, to edit the script, you have to double-click on it. Once you double-click on it, this will open with MonoDevelop. Now, some of you may have that opens with another program because you may have changed the default programming language, which might be Visual Studio, or it could also be Sublime, or IntelliJ, or Android Studio. All right, having said so, MonoDevelop should be the one that will open first, and it says MonoDevelop. All right, so what we're going to do here is take a good look at what's happening here. Well, you have two lines that says using Unity Engine and using the system collection. What this means is that this program that we're going to write down is using the Unity Engine, which give us tools and actions that are already created for us. So we don't have to start from scratch. We want to know what action can be used within Unity, and that's why you have the Unity Engine. Now, the system collection is a way to use data in specific forms that was created by, I believe that was from the .NET world, the system. Okay? So this is something that basically comes and is used very similarly in many languages. All right. Having said so, if in the future you want to add functionality, there's plenty of other using statements. I can click using, and as you can see, it has using Microsoft, Unity Editor, JetBrains, AOT. There's plenty of other things that we can use. And there's plenty of documentation online to read, but that's beyond what we want to do right now. All right, so here now, this line is very important. This line says that we're creating a class. A class, think about it, of the blueprint of the scripts that you are creating. So anything that you want for your script will be within that public class rotating script. So this is the name of our class, and anything that we create, any actions, are between the opening curly brace and the closing curly brace. That's how we behave. And inside of it, we have just a comment. So this is just a comment. A comment starts with 2 backslashes, and then it becomes gray. So we can remove that. We don't need that comment. And we don't need the comment below. So having said that, now what do you see? You see another encapsulation by opening curly brace and a closing curly brace, which means that this is an action. And it has void meaning that this action just is not connected to anything, it just happens. And then you have another one that's called update. So this one is a start, and guess what? This is an action that is triggered whenever the game starts. And this is an action that is triggered whenever the game updates. And the start happens only one time, but the update happens every frame. And in some games, there's up to 60 frames per second, meaning that this will run 60 times in 1 second, and it keeps running and running and running. So this update method is called an action or method or function. I repeat, action, method, function, or even procedure. So there's lots of different jargon here, so I don't want to go into too many details. All right, so just method, action, function, and procedure. Now, I don't want to go into too many details because the fundamentals of programming course that I showed you earlier will do that. And this is triggered 60 frames per second, so all the time. All right, having said so, let's start our rotation. Well, so we're going to do this in the update because we want the rotation to keep going, right? So we'll do this, which is the object that is attached to the rotating script. So this dot transform, which contains the rotation, so dot rotation or dot rotate, and we're going to rotate this by an amount. And this is a vector 3, so this is a Euler amount. So let's go ahead and just put some random value, new vector 3, and let's do a very small rotation, 0.001 f. Why f? Because it needs to be a float. That's a type of value. It says float here. So by adding f, you make sure that it's a float on that number and not a whole number. And then 0.001 f for the y, and then 0.001 f for the z. So we are rotating on the x-axis, on the y-axis, and on the z-axis. So it's rotating in 3 different ways. All right, and now I close the parentheses, and make sure each parenthesis closes the other part. So this parenthesis closes this one, and this one closes that one. All right, and put a semicolon at the end. In C#, every action needs to end up with a semicolon. All right, save this, file, save. And now, if you go back to Unity, you can see if your script, in the bottom right corner, you see that there was some kind of a spinning wheel to see if your script is good or not. Now, if somehow your script has any problem, it will say it in the console. So if you click on console, it would tell you here with a red error in front that there's a problem. Now I'm going to show you that. I'm going to specifically remove the semicolon and save and go back to Unity. And as you can see, it says unexpected symbol. And you can double click here and it shows you that this is an unexpected symbol. Why is it unexpected? Because it was expecting a semicolon, not this. And now it's good. All right, so let's save and let's go back. And the errors will go away if you're good. All right, we're good. So now that we've done that, if I press play, nothing will happen. As you can see, it's not the cube is not rotating, and the reason why is that we never assigned it. So I'm going to select the cube, and I'm going to go in the inspector and click on Add Component inside of the cube. Click on Add Component, and I'm going to look for the script. Now the script name, let's look for it. It's called rotating script, right? So type rotating, and here it is, rotating script. Let's select it, and now we see that the script is added. How do I know that the script is added? Well, we see it here, rotating script, and it's selected, meaning that it's added to the cube. Excellent. So now, let's press play and see it in action. All right, so we don't see much, and the reason why we don't see much is that because it's rotating really slowly. So it is rotating. How do I know that it's rotating? Well, I can see it here. I can see the values here. You guys see that? I can see the values. All right, so let's make it rotate a lot faster. We see the values moving, so let's make it rotate by, let's say 10 here. All right, so instead of this, let's go with 5. Okay, 5.5F and 5F everywhere. All right, let's save and let's go back. And now we will see it moving all around in weird direction, but it will be moving. Okay, you guys see that? All right. And guess what happened? The ball hit that and moved in another direction. Okay, so that's how you deal with physics and programming. Now, there's a lot more to that than programming. So again, take a course that's specifically on programming.